All right. All right. Should be live in a few secs. Uh oh. Crazy echoes if I do that. All right. Let's get started. Can everybody see me? Does it seem okay?
Yeah, looks good.
The quality is going to be somewhat low res, guys, just because of where we're at right now. So, right now we're at my studio where it's basically I'm renting out a room from my buddy, a really good friend of mine, and we're going to change though. We're going to change locations. We're going to move it to my friend's apartment, and we're going to build kind of a little miniature studio in his living room, which is going to be cool. But the audio quality should be good. Should the audio, because I can hear myself.
That sounds great.
Yeah. Okay. Good. And you should be able to hear yourself too, John, because that's how good these mics are. Anyways, if you guys hear me slurping, well, if it's like a little bit, that's fine, because we don't want people. Well, eventually, when we have good internet, I'll have Skype, and then you'll be in the Skype combo, and we'll be like, it'll be all great on every level. But as we go forward, there's a lot of things that are going forward, and that's kind of the things we're going to talk about. This is going to be a short stream. I'm not going to do anything insane and talk about the beginning of life and how life began in the beginning and how we eventually became artists and how. All right. But I'm going to talk about the things I have planned for the future that involved a lot of my fans and supporters, but more importantly, the future for just artists in general. So let me drink this. I have Mountain Dew. Oh yeah, I am sponsored by Mountain Dew, so that's why I had to make a statement about that. So I just made literally $400 just from saying that. Oh boy. So a few things. For those of you who have supported my Kickstarter, Heaven's Hell is going to. I have made strides in my work today at Blizzard to have more time to work on my personal projects, specifically the ones I've already started. And Heaven's Hell is already kind of in production, but the problem is that I didn't expect the next stages, which is actually making a physical book out of it. I have a PDF version of it, and for all my backers, they already have access to this via Dropbox. But the PDF version is not going to be kind of the literal version that's going to be in the book, and that is the roadblock that I am in right now. But I'll have more time, and I'm going to invest more time into this book, and not only that, I'm going to add some more visual stuff, which should be cool. Since I have more time, I can make it a little bit better. But my idea is to get this thing done by the end of this year, before the end of this year. But other things are on the horizon. So the next thing that I want to get done is me and my friends. Here's me. Here's my friends. And this is what we actually look like. So I got a beard. And then, John, you got a mustache. And then Kalen just is vanilla. He just looks like that. So, me and my friends, we're going to be working on a digital comic. And so far, so good. So far, it looks good. I'm going to post pictures on Facebook after this stream on what that's about. And that's going to start sometime in early August or mid-August. We're still deciding when to really officially launch. We want to launch in early August. I think that still holds true. But the idea of the comic is we already have a few things started. We already had kind of like a general idea what the whole story is. We have the first episode, which is going to be about 7 pages, and 7 pages of just drawn out images and with comic book style, or not comic book style, because we're doing a portrait just because we want to be different. No, just because it just kind of seemed like it was a cool idea to do it that way. And they're going to be painted in the fashion that you've seen my few robots that I've drawn already for the comic book. I'm going to paint them for the most part, a lot of the images are going to be full-on paintings and try to make them look really nice and presentable. But also, we want to try to make a pretty fun and interesting story. Really fun. Play up the word fun. A lot of fun. Just exciting, and have some sort of narrative that doesn't make it just a hodgepodge of nonsense. But it already kind of lives in a world of that. But that's something that we want to do. But more importantly, what's going to happen is, whoa, wow, my laptop does this every once in a while. The streams are going right. Still good. Yeah. So the thing that I want to focus on when we go, I see that it just hiccuped there. Wow, there's such a delay. That way I can cuss and we can edit it. Like we're going to edit it anyways.
I wanted to know if we could record each stream.
Oh yeah, this is going to be recorded, by the way, guys. You can write them via chat so they know before I say it. The plan is that for a month, in a month you can break up into 4 quadrants, and every month we're going to pump out 4 episodes. And then the month will be considered a chapter. So every month we're going to release 1 chapter, and each chapter has 4 episodes, and 4 episodes are going to be roughly 7 pages. Roughly 5 to 7 pages long, depending on what the narrative demands. But no less than 5, and hopefully no more than 7, just so I don't have a crazy amount. And what our goal is to kind of make the comic book as we go, but have free live streams. Originally, I was going to make the live streams an exclusive thing for those who purchase it, but I've realized it might be better to make that free and then add a thing that is purchasable, which is the breakdown and interviews with me and my buddies on how we put the story together and what we did that week. And that will be very edited and tailored to, like, so you don't have to watch like 7 or 8 hours or however long the streams last. But like an hour, a good condensed half an hour to 1 hour, just like interview of what we did. And then if you pay for the comic book, which you'll be paying for each chapter, which will be roughly $20 to $30. We're still deciding on the price point, just because we want to make sure that it's a justified amount for how much work we're going to put into this. You will get 7 pages, 7 pages, 7 pages, 7 pages, right? What is that? 28 pages. Yes, 25 to 28. No, I'm sorry. It's 20 pages. I was like, that math looks wrong. Roughly 20 to 28 pages of comic book glory. And you will get all the work files, including the JPEGs and the PDF and all that stuff. But the PDF, I think, will be embedded into the Gumroad site. But the work files, you will have access to all that great stuff, and you will have access to the After Effects work files, because we're going to do some of those things in motion to advertise them, and we're going to put them on YouTube. But you guys will have access to that and how we did that, and talk about how we do it and what we did and the struggles that we had for it. And that is the 30 minutes to 1 hour, 30 minutes to 60-minute video of that week. So roughly, what is that? I would say 2 to 4 hours of video commentary. Now, if you do the Gumroad math, usually an hour video for me is about $5. And so if you do the math, 4 weeks times 5 is $5. But I think the difference is why we would probably go a little bit higher is because you're getting a little bit more, which is the actual comic pages and After Effects stuff that I normally wouldn't attach. And I have my buddies, so I want to pay them fairly, and I feel like this is a good way to do that easily. And so that way we can start working on our comic and make a comic, and we'll do it chapter 1, chapter 2, because originally I was going to do it subscription based, where you can buy the subscription straight out of the gate and then don't worry about it and just it'll just kind of reoccur in your bank account. But I kind of didn't like that. I didn't like the feel of that. I think it'd be better for you guys to just buy them as they come. And you say, oh, I like the first chapter, but I don't really want to watch anymore. I think I got it. Right, and so you don't have to buy the second one. But if you want to buy the second one, you're allowed to, obviously, but you're not forced to. And I thought that would be a better solution because I don't like to make it feel like I'm a business and I'm trying to totally just jack you guys' money and find secret ways to do that. No, it's pretty straightforward. Like I want to obviously make money from this, but I also want to make it so that it's an option. Like a full-fledged option versus like if you want to be a part of this, you have to pay like $100 straight up, and that's something that some people don't want to do, don't feel comfortable doing. So you could just buy it as it goes. Now, what happens if you buy, let's say, the first chapter? Let's say you buy in, because obviously these 3 episodes have not been done yet, right? So if you buy in on the first week, we will make it the price point. Let's say at $20. Let's say it is $20, right? So every week after that, we will increase the price to $250 because we would have more content. And obviously, by the end of the week, it will end up being a higher price point of $30. And why we want to do that is that we want to reward those who are early supporters, and and then if anyone who wants to join in later, we give them a justified added amount depending on when they join. And that way, I think it keeps it fair. So that way, someone doesn't just wait to the very end and then say, "I got it for $20," and get everything. Or someone like paid up front in the beginning and really kind of. I want to support those who are supporting me by making the price a little bit more affordable. And then once that's all said and done, it's a package deal, and it's open for anyone else who wants to come watch it for the $30 price point, or whatever the price point it is for the final thing for each chapter. And that's why I think it's better than the subscription model too, so that way we don't have to keep on monitoring it. Anyway, but the idea, the main point of all this thing is to get you guys to see how things can be developed. And we're not experts on making comic books. We've never really done it. We've done stuff for film and for video games, but we've never really made a comic book. And I think this will be a great experiment, not only as a way can we make money actually working on our own product, but like an opportunity for people who have always dreamed of making their own content and never really knew how to get started. They can watch us do it, which is really cool, I think, because I think people will be like, oh, I want to make a comic, but I want to see how these guys do it. And it should be pretty affordable, especially if let's say we end up going only up to 4 chapters. We'd say, hey, 4 chapters, we're done. Story's done. You end up spending about $80 total, which is spread amongst 4 months. And I think that's fair. I don't think that's a big deal. And you're going to get roughly, what is that, 80 to, oh boy, math, 124 pages of just pure content, and in all the work files and dozens of hours of just tutorials on how we did things. And the live streams are going to be free. So you can watch, because the live streams, we are going to be a little bit more random and sporadic, and we're just going to be kind of just going for it. And so that's why I didn't want to make that a thing that's cost. Because what if 1 hour we're just like talking about just like dicks for the whole hour, and then you're just like, I paid for this live stream. And so I want to make sure that that's free and that you guys don't feel like, if you're not paying for us to talk about dicks, you're paying for us to get something done. And talk about the struggles, and we can, in our 1 hour video, be like, oh, there was a part where we actually talked for dicks for about 3 hours. It was a waste of time. We should have totally maximized that time. So that's one of the things, and that's a really big thing that I want to have going. I'm not sure how you guys feel about that, but I think it's going to be a really cool thing, and I want to get this kind of thing going, because what it's going to do is going to promote an idea that I have had since this whole Gumroad stuff has started, which is making artists more empowered into the ability of making their own content. Hey, get out of here, Snag it. Hey, get out of here. Get. All right. Here, let me just move this, actually. Snag it. Get out of here. Okay. Snag it's awesome, by the way. This is what I've been using for video recording. So the thing that I want you guys to know is that I have an idea, and my idea is to start this movement of making artists have the ability to do their own thing. And I'm gonna get an expo going. And that's what we're calling it right now. Maybe it'll be a convention. Maybe it'll grow into a huge convention. Who knows? But I've been talking with some of the greatest artists in the industry. A lot of them are super pumped by this idea of having us all get together in one awesome kind of hall, where there will be tables and there will be a projection and then there will be seating, where people can sit and so forth and so on. But the idea is that, and here's like a stage. All right, there we go. And there's artists hanging out, and here's people watching the artists talk about stuff. But the idea is to get an expo that is pretty affordable, get kind of like a handful of artists, and make it like a 2 to 3 day workshop. I'm almost flirting with the idea of 3 days now, depending on how many artists we get. And make it kind of like a TED Talk. You know how TED Talks are very short, like instead of like the normal art thing where you'll be 2 to 3 hours of just a person talking about their process, which is very valuable, and there's places for that, and I think that are still valuable and places that I still recommend people go to. But I wanted to make something a little bit more streamlined, a little bit more themed, and then that will allow the time of talk to be less. So instead of it being 2 to 3 hours, it would be, potentially 20 to 30 minutes. And the way that I break out the 20 to 30 minutes would be 20 minutes of a lecture, which would be whatever the instructor would be talking about, and then a good 10 minutes of Q&A right after. Right? And have that moderated in some way, in some fashion. It would be great to create some sort of situation for this. And that way we can have more artists talk, and we can have it be themed accordingly. And the theme of these things will be content creating, I guess. This will be the theme. And what I mean by that, whoa, you see that? So weird. What I mean by that is that there's a lot of artists who have made their own comic books, their art books, movies, or short films, 3D models, and made money off of that stuff. Not made money off of, working, but made money off of, this is an amazing 3D sculpt, or teaching. Whatever teaching looks like. I'm educated. Whatever it is that the artist or creative person, and that's all relative, but the point that I'm trying to make is that whatever these really successful artists have done, concept artists or 3D artists or whatever, small groups of people, and made content from their creative abilities, because that's something that we're hired to do. People have an idea, I have an idea, can you draw it? And you're like, yeah, I could draw it, and then you draw it, and then they take all the money and make all the credit, and you are really the content creator. And I feel like there's a value there, an opportunity there for artists to actually be able to sell their own thing and make their own money. And what that does is it gives you an option. You can either work for a studio or you can work for yourself and make either more money or less money, but either way, these would be competitive. You would have to make a choice. What do I choose? And either way, either choice shouldn't be a bad choice. It should be a good choice. That's kind of the point, because I think once this starts becoming a more valuable asset, more valuable thing to seek out for, studios will, I think, potentially pay more for good talent, because what happens is good talent will be making their own things. They don't need to worry about working at a studio anymore. And so then studios will be like, oh crap, all the great artists were making more money on their own versus us paying them, and so that way I think studio life will become better too, and they will have a little bit more appreciation for people that create their content. Not to say they don't. Not all studios treat their artists and their content creators as badly. I'm just saying, in general, there's this bad kind of vibe going on that I personally dislike. And to speak kindly of some studios, Blizzard's a great studio that I work for right now, and they do really well. And I think they treat their employees extremely well too. But there's other studios I've worked for that will remain nameless that treat their employees like crap and pay them like crap. So you're being your own artist is a great thing, and I want that to be a thing, and I want to create an expo where people have already done this, who have already made successful things and have made tons of money, or made even if it's a little bit of money, but just have made money on their own ability, and be there for people that want to do that and want to know more about that. There's not enough places that really teach people how to become their own boss and become a person that can create their own content, and so. Expo with more artists, being more specifically like, hey, this is how I made this thing, and then go through the notions, talk about the struggles, talk about the thing, and keep it pretty short, simple, and effective. And all these people probably will be able to do that because they've already have that kind of sensibility about them. And give you guys perks and some goodies and all this kind of great baggies of goodies and stuff like that. And then the next thing that I want the expo to have. The next thing that I want the expo to have is dedicated portfolio reviews that are longer. I want dedicated portfolio reviews with people who are hiring. Like, I have a lot of concept art buddies who have their own concept art houses. And so I want you to be able to go to this expo, not only listen to great inspirational stuff about how to make your own stuff, but also work for people who are hiring great and talented artists and have an opportunity to, or not even if they're not hiring. I want to have a bunch of tables of all the artists that talk on different days and have them show up. Those artists that talk that day, I want them to, at the end of the day, do a portfolio review and help people out. And you can wait in line, and there will be multiple lines, and so you might not be able to get to every single artist, but you can wait and talk to one artist at a time, etc., etc. And then if you have opportunity to talk to another one, go for it, right? But make that a 2 to 3 hour, probably 2 hours. I'm being a little ambitious with the 3 hours, but 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours, hopefully, of just straight up portfolio review at the end of the day of all the artists that talked that day. Okay, so that way you get an opportunity to not only talk to them one-on-one, you have an opportunity to potentially get a job or be able to get critical feedback from the artists that you admire. And that's something that I think a lot of our niche conventions based off of our field lack. And we can really, this expo, I want to have ability to do that and force my artists. And so I would have to pay them well. So you pay them for the 20 minutes and then also pay them to just sit down for about 2 hours and sign or talk or sell. They would have technically their own booth where they could sell or whatever. Maybe we can make a stipulation. If you want to get a critique, you have to buy a print, and then we can make the print $5 or something, and you get a signed print or something from that artist. I don't know. I don't like that idea. Now that I said that, but maybe it's a good idea. Maybe you guys don't mind doing that. You're like, well, if I'm getting a critique and I'm down, and I get a print that's signed by the artist, I'm totally down. It's up to the artist. I don't know. I'll let them decide what to do with that. But my point is that I think this will be great, and I think people will love it, and this will be a great opportunity to inspire a lot of young artists who are just starting out and don't have a clue whether they want to work at a studio or work for themselves. And this convention will really motivate you to work either or, but more specifically work for yourself, because that's kind of the thing. And then also have an opportunity to listen to some of these concept people talk about how they started their studios and how they did and all the troubles that they go through. It should be a lot of fun. And then that's pretty much it. That's all I have to say today about stuff. I think I had another thing that I was going to talk about, but I'm running out of time. I have to get out of here specifically at 5. So I have about 10 minutes of good old Q&A. Oh my God. Is there all the questions right there?
Yeah.
Oh, that's not too bad.
Yeah.
So this is going to be a lightning round of the questions. Right? And I'm just going to draw I'm just going to draw something silly. as I talk.
Sure.
So John's going to shoot me questions. Have you had any commercials yet?
No?
No commercials? Oh, Ustream. I'm gonna invest into the $500 one next month. It's $500 is so much money, guys. But I'm gonna release a ZBrush model thing, and hopefully I'm gonna use the money from that to make it so I can have thousands of free viewership hours. So you guys will um, never see commercials. And how do you guys feel about donation buttons? Because the great thing about the Ustream is that I can actually attach a donation button. Would you guys invest in a donation button? If so, that'd be great. And John's going to read that and he'll let me know. Let's get to the questions, though.
So the first questions were on Facebook.
Sweet.
First one is using perspective in landscape paintings with a focus on setting up a path in your paintings for the eye to follow with the use of shapes and color.
Okay, using perspective in landscape paintings with a focal on setting up a path in the painting for the eye to follow with the use of shapes and colors. I think what you mean is like, so instead of what I would typically see is someone that starts out, they draw like their perspective and they're like, this is perspective. But that like clearly, whoa. But when you do like a landscape painting with like when you have I'm sorry, if you have like an environment which is more technical and structured, you would have a perspective grid that does this of someone that has vanishing points. But a landscape painting also has stuff like that, but it's a little bit more organic, and so it can be a little bit looser. And something that I like to do is, I think what he's talking about is shapes and colors. So this is how I think you should think about it, is that I would draw something in the foreground or whatever that is like awesome looking tree, and then I would be like, I would make a path that would essentially have perspective to it in the width of what the path is, and then the perspective of the path as well. So there's so many tips and tricks that you can do using just simple setups like that to help you kind of see perspective a lot easier. And I definitely think this is something that I use often whenever I do, especially landscape perspective stuff. But you should be very wary of your scale too, and I think that's more important. But to answer that question quickly, yes, using paths and shape variations, as in like making things much smaller as they go further into distance, and in like your trail, like obviously if we were to see the trail orthographically, like looking up, it looks like that. But once we take that into perspective, we can grab this bad boy, grab this mother, right? And then let's put it on. Oh, it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be any mode. But just put this on perspective by holding Control and grabbing these points and then putting some perspective to it. You can see the path is thinning out as it's going further and further away, right? And that's something that you can really utilize if you understand perspective a bit, with just the path, using the paths as a great way to do that. So hopefully I answered your question. If not, shoot me a Facebook message or shoot me an email. I'll try to answer it a little bit more vividly. But we got to move on because I got to get out of here.
Next one is improving your creativity. Any suggestions on that?
Oh yeah, being creative. I think the thing to do to try to be a creative person is to be exposed to a lot of different cultures and societal thought process and visuals. Like you just go look at like Chinese culture. Just Google that and just start reading about it and looking at like the different kinds of things that they do and the different kinds of visuals. Like look at Google Chinese New Year and then look at just the color palette of the Google, like the Google search. Like look at all the colors and then type in American New Year. And you'll see like a whole different color spectrum. And you can do this with all kinds of different cultures. And then being alert of that and realizing that there's a difference and there's even like the shapes and all that stuff. And then also watching lots of movies and reading lots of books. I don't read books necessarily, but I read a lot of like articles on science and stuff like that because I'm really interested in that. I follow a Facebook page called I Fucking Love Science. and it's great. And every day I get like a new little tidbit of cool stuff that's going on. And follow stuff like that on Facebook. Don't just follow like this weird porn actresses that you just never will interact with ever. Like follow people like that are saying cool stuff and they're saying it often. So that way every time you check your Facebook page, you're seeing something really cool and interesting, and then read about it and look into it, and then that will rest in your brain. And the more kind of like weird niche stuff like that you have rested in your brain, the more creative you can be. So it's cool. So that's because being creative is really just being able to reach into your mind and pull like two different abstractions and putting them together. So if you don't have anything in your brain that's too abstract, like if you only know about one type of thing, about one kind of culture and one kind of society, then you're only going to be able to pull from that ever. It's going to be hard to mix and match. And that's the same with art style. Like you can't mix and match something that you don't understand or know. So educate yourself. That's really what it comes down to be creative.
This one is effective learning, how to become a better artist and how to practice efficiently.
I wrote a great article. Just go to my Tumblr. It's called Drawing. Maybe you can do this for me. drawingtruth.tumblr. If someone can get this for this artist who asked this question, please put it into the chat and see. Hopefully it's not censored. We've done some R&D and figured out this Ustream mess. But if you go to drawingtruth.tumblr.com, or if you go to my website, robotpencil.net, there's so many ways to get access to this. And go into the bonus and then going into the articles. I believe will get you to these places. And then when you go to these places, you can essentially read all the articles I have. And I have one article, it's called ASAP, that talks about a process about being efficient. So hopefully that will help you out. And if it doesn't, message me. I'll try to help you. Oh, I'm just going to jump ahead. John's doing that. So best way to meet ADs, I'm assuming that's art directors. Art directors and people of that nature are generally at conventions and such. And so we need to understand that as artists, is that, people that are hiring are going to be in places where they're hiring. So conventions and events. And I'm going to try to make a convention. And I was thinking about making it a bi-yearly thing, so it happens twice a year. Once in the beginning of the year, once in the middle of the year. And so that way people have an opportunity to meet people that are hiring more often. And obviously this is going to be more Southern California based, but I'm going to try to see if I can get it in like other countries as well, but that's a little bit more difficult, obviously. But I'm going to start small and then see how this goes as we go. And then, like I said, change the face of how artists approach their careers is my goal with all this stuff.
Portfolio reviews and how to prepare for one.
Portfolio review. Well, that's a long question or answer to for that question. And I think what I'm going to do, my whole mentorship is really about that. I'm going to build a structure for my students. And if you've already signed up for the mentorship, great. But if you haven't, go to my website and go to the mentorship and signups, and then get on the waiting list for the next one. But basically, my goal is that I am going to put out videos, that you can watch. I'm going to be critiquing your work, and then the goal is that you're at the end of the month, you either get one or two fully colored concepts or one grayscale concept, depending on the package you've got, that you can proudly say it's a portfolio piece. And if you're not proud of it just yet, and if you feel like there needs to be more time and work on it, that's fine. That is something that I think that people really underestimate. Time as a valued thing that you can really upgrade something. But also, if you really focus your time, you don't need more than a few months to get a portfolio piece. Because the thing is that we're focused on one or two pieces and really focus on that. And I create a system for you to really create a great portfolio piece. Hopefully in about a few months, you should have a couple great portfolio pieces and a good understanding of how to make one, and to really create a system for yourself. Because the problem is you shouldn't rely on other people to kind of motivate you to get work done. The class is a kicking off point. It's a Kickstarter, I guess, for your inspiration and motivation, because that's why I'm doing it in different months. That's why it's not like a 5 to 6 month span. It will be character concept 1 month, maybe environments the next month, maybe weapon design the next month. It will change, as I see fit, right? And that's the point. It's supposed to get you guys motivated and inspired and learn how to make portfolio pieces. And I want to change the subject so that way we're using different tools, we're using different mediums, so that way you get more practice using tools that people are in the industry are using now. And that's something that you should understand and value now. So as we're making and getting a portfolio review, just anytime you can have an artist look at your work, or anybody really, have them look at your work, ask them, what is bad? What do you like about this? And have them tell you, and listen to it, and go back and fix it, or make adjustments.
5 minutes left.
All right, so this is going to be a lightning round. I'm literally just going to shoot through these. I only have 5 minutes left. I have to pack up and get out of here. I need to be home by 5:30 and get some Korean barbecue with my family. This is my Sunday, and I work on Sundays, and I told my wife I'll be home soon, and so I'm already kind of late. So I apologize, but I'm going to have a more structured live stream as soon as we get into the new office and we have more reliable internet with higher quality too. Oh, snaps. This Ustream and stuff will be evolving as we go, obviously. So let's just shoot through these. Let's try to get all of this done.
All right.
There you go.
Tell me about your work process. How do you start your day and how do you finish at your work?
I go into work super early, around 7:30 to 8, and then I work from 8 to 10, and then I work at work. And then I go home, I work at work until I leave, like just like around 5:30, 6:30. Then I go home, I stay home, and I hang out with my family, and we do family stuff. I don't do work. I've been doing a little bit more work just because I've been trying to get a lot of stuff going. But my wife understands. But before that, I would go to work early to get my own personal stuff done, and then go home and hang out with my family. Family time's family time. I don't want to be distracted too much by work stuff. I love my family. I only got one shot with my kids being young, so I value that time just as much as my art time.
Cool. What will you be talking about in your comic?
Well, when we make the comic, we're going to be talking about how we make it and how we did it, and things that are sucked and which were hard, and things that were easy, things that were difficult, and really talk about how we made a comic. And we want to do month by month. So if the story demands us to end it on the 3rd chapter, we end it on the 3rd chapter, and then we can jump onto a whole new look for a different comic and different thing. But we're not trying to make a hit right out of the gate. We want to make something that we love to work on. And if we feel like, okay, this is done, we need to finish it, we'll Breaking Bad it. We'll just say we're only going to make 5 seasons, we're not going to make any more. We're not going to do like kind of like a system where we just like keep doing it just because we make more money from it. We want to just kind of do it as we go. And if people really want us to do more, like if people demand us to do more, then we will. Just because that people value, or I value what my fans and my supporters have to say, and so I'll do what I need to provide the content for them. Because you guys have not only made me more active in this way, you made me force other artists to be more active. It's a good thing that you guys invest in us because we are more invested in you.
What are your thoughts on having specific style to your concept art?
I.e. Z-Dig, PK Mike.
Oh, yeah. Very popular.
Yeah, well, style is just a preference. Like the things that you like about different kinds of artists is how your style becomes the thing. Like if you look at Z-Dig, my buddy, he is really inspired by Mobius and Dice from Pixar. So if you look at his work, you can really kind of see that, and a lot of great French artists out there, and so you can see that, and it's cool. It's really, really cool when you see kind of stuff like that, and like if you want to have a unique style, you should basically marry 2 things that are really good and really awesome that you like, and put it together. If you like to photo bash and you want to do that, you could do that too. That's definitely photo bashing is one look, really. It's photorealism. The more photoreal you can make something look, that's a thing. Now, style for me, when it comes in terms of that, is the style of the design, like what the robot or the thing that you put into that photo bashing kind of world. What does that look like? So anyway.
How do you show form within the Shadow family?
I treat everything really simply. Like if you're in the light, then everything in the light has about 10 to 20% value change when it comes to subtle forms, and the same thing with dark. Like it's like 10 to 20% value change. It's not dramatic, and if it is dramatic, it's a local value. Like I'm wearing a black shirt and white pants, and if we're getting hit by one light, the darker part of my outfit's going to be darker, because it already was dark. So,
if I buy the comic, will AJ explain it to me in more detail?
Oh yeah, well the comic, once I release the comic will have attached a YouTube video that's going to really explain everything that I just said today in a little bit more refined and specific detail. And then obviously I'm going to write a long description within the Gumroad purchase, which will allow you to understand what happened, what's going to be happening, and how it goes. But I wouldn't worry about that until it's released, and then you can make a choice then. I appreciate your money already, though. You can throw me money right now. Just go ahead. But if not, like, you just wait. We're going to try to make it good. We're going to try to make it affordable. Oh boy. Am I still there? Okay.
How did the universe start?
Big Bang, and then after that, we're not entirely sure. I think we believe that there's two colliding universes. My favorite one is it's a black hole, the opposite side of a black hole. So we have black holes; things go into the black hole and shoot outside of the other end of the black hole. So we are potentially, basically, the fecal matter of another universe, which I think is rad. Anyways.
Can you explain briefly how you draw in architectural backgrounds? Do you use lasso tool to block in shapes?
I use a lasso tool to block in shapes for architectural backgrounds. Yes, I do. And when I do more, architectural stuff, I use a lot more hard-edged brushes, a lot of lasso tools, a lot of selections, a lot of stuff because it's so precise. I need to be precise, so I keep everything precise.
Hey, AJ, I'm having trouble with a bad client who is showing signs of not paying me for a piece I've given him after he had told me he likes it. What's the best way to deal with this?
Tell him to pay you. Just tell him politely. Say, hey, look, I would want to have a payment of some sort of what I have done. To have some promise in the work. If you like it, let me know. Like you should have set that standard up in the beginning. You should have said pay upfront cost, and then I'll get started, or every 2 weeks or every week or whatever, I expect a payment. The more clear you are on payment and how you should be paid and what you should be paid for in the beginning is better. If not, I'd say deal with it pretty politely and ask him for some compensation for the work you've already done, just to see if he actually can pay you. And if he can't, then say, all right, we're done here. Move on. All right, I'm gonna only answer one more question, so I'm just gonna look through all of these questions real fast, and then find the most relevant, the most exciting, the most interesting question. What about the artists from the other countries? What do you suggest in contact with artists that are hiring in reference to the expo? I think with that one, you'd be surprised where there's expos and conventions. And as for the expo as it stands now, I mean, you'll have to fly out. Like I said, this is not too big. It's going to start off pretty small. So that's more on you, but eventually I'll find a way to get out to more countries. But there's a lot of countries. Are the streams on the website saved anywhere? I will save them, but they'll be saved on this stream from now on. I'm going to save it after I'm done here. Are the questions, can I don't network and still get jobs? I'm shy. Yeah, you can get jobs, but that's going to be the hardest way to network, which means you have to be really, really good. Okay? Good work that you put online and people see, that's probably your best bet for a shy person. But good luck, man. You can always send it to me, and if I think it's good, I'll spread it for you. Do you think it's worth it working for some companies that don't pay that well but are well known in order to get your name or work out there? Nah, I don't think so anymore. Just because, I mean, you should work for a company just so you can get a vibe of how it feels like to work for someone, but still ask for some money, man. If they're well known, like, they should be paying you. If they're if you know they're making millions and millions of dollars, like they have a couple dollars to spare for just a few concepts, right? Come on. And then also, there's better ways to get your name out there, like by putting good work out there on websites that people get access to, like DeviantArt or ArtStation's a good one now that's out for people. As a digital artist, how would I do presenting my work, potential employer, to another professional artist for critique? Do I just give them my website, prints, both? Yeah, you just approach it like casually. Don't force your stuff on people. Be polite. Start a conversation without like any kind of motive, and then if it kind of leads to that, then let it be. Don't be weird. Just be normal. Be yourself. And if they treat you like a dick, like if they're a dick to you, then they're a dick. That has nothing to do with you. At least you tried your best. And if they don't respond to you, like, that's respected if you do that via website or email. I'm pretty good about responding to people, but like I've been getting so much more lately, so I'm been a little laggy. I'm gonna try to find a better way. I think maybe longer live streams and just have people kind of meet up in one room, and I can do it there. But anyway, yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about that. Just be polite. And the last question, I'm done. What would you recommend to someone starting out and fairly young, wanting to gain momentum, portfolio work? I've read stance on schools. Any tips on discipline / schooling? Work for yourself. Like study by yourself. There's like me and my buddy John. We've been working on some stuff. He's like learning the Unreal Engine, and he's starting to realize how easy it is to learn on your own. It's not to say that Unreal Engine is easy. It's just how easy it is to learn Unreal Engine is what I'm getting at, because there's so much tools and resources out there for specific things for you to learn something. Like I was watching him watch these videos, and I was watching some videos myself, and I realized, oh my gosh, I could probably do virtual concepts where people can walk around in my concepts environments, or look at my characters and stuff in my virtual world. It's kind of unbelievable, and I think it's possible and doable for me. And so I'd recommend you guys, when it comes to education, educate yourself. And then what was the first part? Oh yeah, when you want to get momentum, just keep posting artwork and keep perfecting your artwork and get better and better and post to places where people are going to see it. And keep posting and keep posting. Don't be like posting like 17 pictures a day. Post like once or twice a week that are really relatively good images. And then you could post weekly or once every day if you can post. But I think once a day is more than enough. But have quality work and try to get quality work. Everyone will forget your bad work. So even if you stay silent for a month and then come back with something really good, that's always positive too. Just have good work and keep on showing people. But anyways, all right, guys. Thank you guys for joining the stream. I appreciate your guys' time and your friendships. And, I am going to be doing more periodic streams. I'm going to try to create a schedule. The time has come for me to be able to actually schedule this and make a real time frame for this, and it'll be good for you guys and good for myself and good for my wife, so that way she knows what days I'm going to be live streaming and what days I'm not going to be live streaming. The stream should be saved after I'm done, so thank you guys. And for any information, please chat in the chat box. John will help provide you guys with anything and any access to all the stuff that's going on. And you guys are awesome. I love you guys. And before I go, I have finished my ZBrush Basics video, my last one that I did, and I posted prematurely. The audio was broken, and I was like, oh no! And people bought it already, but I refunded those people, and luckily it was only a few people. But this one's going to be the new and improved one. This one's going to be fantastic. I put a lot of time and effort. I spent pretty much all day trying to make this pretty informative and awesome for you guys, and really usable and user-friendly. And so if you have ZBrush, get ready to learn some ZBrush. I'm going to be posting this thing tonight, so when you see this image posted onto Facebook or whatever place you follow me at, pick it up, my friends. Otherwise, I'll see you guys. All right. I'll see you guys on the flip side.